Hello and welcome to Nakik World Podcast, coming to you live from the beautiful country of Switzerland. I am your host, Stacey. "2020 has been an incredibly unique year, and each and every one of us has been tremendously affected by the COVID-19 pandemic. As we enter this festive period of Christmas, a time of joy, a time of giving, and a time of family, my thoughts especially go out to those who have experienced loss during this year, those who have had to say goodbye to a loved one, and especially with those who will celebrate their first Christmas without that special person that they have lost. This time of the year puts a special focus on family and being together, and I can only but empathize with those of you that will celebrate Christmas without that special family member or friend, because I know exactly what that feels like. And if it wasn't a hard enough time of the year, many of us find ourselves in lockdown currently, unable to gather and meet each other and celebrate like we have been doing over the years. You know, I must be honest with our listeners and tell you that this is an incredibly hard topic to open up about, because it is so personal and near to my heart. Because a few years ago, my mother passed away. There's something especially devastating about losing a parent, and I would go far as to say even more so when you lose a mother. I am blessed to have so many amazing Christmas memories with my mother, but it's a bittersweet blessing, because every Christmas carol reminds me of her, Christmas shopping reminds me of her, and I can go on and on. Because of my own personal experience, I can in a way relate to the many of you who have said goodbye during this year and this pandemic. And I have a special message for you this Christmas. You are listening to Nakik World Podcast, coming to you live from Switzerland. Please follow us on Facebook, Twitter, Instagram, and subscribe to our YouTube channel and Nakik World Podcast platform. Our email address is podcast@nacinchina.com. Before the break, I mentioned that I too have had to say goodbye to a loved one. And during this time of the year, many thoughts, memories, and emotions come up. I remember last Christmas. I remember the very last Christmas I had with my mother. The only word I can use and I would use to describe it was absolutely perfect. And I remember it like it was yesterday. I know firsthand how thinking about these amazing memories can lead to a deep sadness, even depression. But we should try to embrace these memories, and through them, realize and focus on what we had instead of what we lost. I personally take tremendous pride in the Christmases that I've celebrated with my family while my mother was around. They were always special and unique. And through the grief and the hurt and the emptiness, we should replace this with our gratefulness and thankfulness for what we had, and take comfort in the knowledge that our loved ones live on in us. You are listening to Nakik World Podcast, coming to you live from Switzerland. Please follow us on Facebook, Twitter, Instagram, and subscribe to our YouTube channel and Nakik World Podcast platform. Our email address is podcast@nacinchina.com. Christmas is a time of family, gatherings, joy, love, and everything good. But this year is an especially unique Christmas season because each and every one of us has been affected by a pandemic that has been the cause of change in so many aspects of our lives. And the truth is that many of us will have to celebrate Christmas away from our families due to the restrictions currently in place all over the world. Again, I have to draw from my own personal situation. I never thought that I would not be surrounded by my family this Christmas, and I would give anything to be together with my family and celebrate this season just like we have been doing it my entire life. I started to feel really isolated and alone. I talked to some colleagues and learned about each of their situations as well. I was so surprised to hear that so many of them had similar stories and were going through the same emotions of loneliness and isolation. This taught me that even though sometimes we may feel totally isolated and alone without our families around us and without our loved ones around us this festive season, there are still so many others all around the world in similar or even worse situations. And at the end of the day, we are not alone. And I hope that can be written in my heart as well as all of those of you out there feeling a little lonely this Christmas. That concludes this podcast. Please tune in for part 2. Please follow us on Facebook, Twitter, Instagram, and subscribe to our YouTube channel and NACIC World Podcast platform. Our email address is podcast@nacinchina.com. NACIC World Podcast is broadcasted twice weekly, every Tuesday and Thursday at 3 p.m. Beijing time. Until next time, goodbye from a beautiful Switzerland.